Hello, everyone. This is Paul Everton, the host of The Truth Table, episode 76. And tonight we're featuring independent candidates in the federal election. That's coming the 28th, 11 days from now. And my first guest is going to be Jason St. Louis. We're going to ask him what compelled him to get into politics and why he chose to be an independent. And we'll do that right after this. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. I want to be able to um, expose as many candidates as possible so you get a chance to hear them speaking, find out what makes them tick, and put the face behind the name on the ballot. And so you have more of an informed choice before you make that decision. And this might be the most important election in Canada as far as I'm concerned. We could lose it all. And that's why in this election, a lot of good people that would never even think or consider getting into politics have come forward and put their names in the hat to try to save this country from what seems to be a fascist situation, which we saw in 2020 with the protocols, the medical protocols, and um, the mandates and the masks and all the ridiculous things that were done to the good people of Canada. So I'd like to welcome Jason St. Louis, who is a candidate on the ballot in Prescott, Cumberland, and Russell. Welcome, Jason. Thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to get out here and chat it up. And thanks for bringing on some independents so people can hear what we have to say and who we're representing.
Let the listeners know what the difference is between the mainstream parties and an independent.
Well, for me, it was I was supporting a party in the past, and I brought a lot of ideas to the table that I thought were relevant, that could be supportive of our economic growth and stability. And
Hmm.
never did I ever get a word back that, hey, Mr. St. Louis, took your information to, the table, to the House of Commons, to any of the groups, and here's some positive feedback or negative feedback. Never heard nothing about it. So I'm kind of like, okay, we're electing these people to, represent us, but are we really truly being heard? Are our voices being heard? And I mean, there's a lot of us who have voices, but each member of parliament has, a smaller group. Example for here in the riding that I'm currently in, Prescott-Russell-Cumberland, there's, just over 90,000 registered voters, and our voices truly being heard by our member of parliament representative. And when I break it down from there, the minority of people are 48% that are divided into the various different colors of red, blue, orange, green, and purple, and whoever. So
Hmm.
I'm like, wow, 52% of people didn't show up to vote because they don't believe in the party system or they don't believe their vote matters for anything. And so are their voices truly not being heard? And so I just, you know, that's at the end of it all. For me to want to get into this was because I wanted my voice heard. I am not a politician. I'm, like I said before, I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a son, and I'm a member of my community. And I got some things to say, and I want to be heard. And so, with my background as a paralegal graduate and law clerk educated, and former pro athlete and sports commentator and analyst, I have a voice that I'm ready to share and to put myself on the line to come to the table to represent other people in my community. So for me, I think the difference would be the party is representative to themselves. They're beholden to themselves. It's whatever the party format wants. And the whip represents everybody who goes around and makes sure everybody's on board. Whereas an independent, I'm not bound by a party representation. I'm not bound by a party platform or a directive. I don't have a whip. What I have to be responsible to and for are the constituents in my riding that are preparing to vote for me once again to represent them in this format. And for me, that's the difference.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to know more, it's jasonstlouis.ca. He has a lot of information here that you can learn more about your candidate. But as you said, with the other parties, when the leader says do this, do that, the other candidates don't really have much say in that situation. They just vote in like in the Ontario election, not the election, but members of the Conservative parties were kicked out. Like Belinda Karahalios, she was kicked out because she didn't go with the flow,
Yep.
and that would be a common ground on there. Um, Plus, my issue also, like Gordon says right here, is the oath to majesty, uh, loyal servant. It kind of defeats the purpose of representing us when the Liberals get elected. They swear an oath to the king. I don't really like. They really need to have an oath to Canadians, and so I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, that actually came up in a group discussion that even if I was to get in as a member of parliament, do I have to swear an oath, right, to
Mhm,
the majesty of the king? And I really don't think it should be that way. I think our oath is representative to the people that we are representing. And
mhm,
so how I look at this is, let's just say that we had a massive change and that everybody showed up as independents on the ballot and we ended up with a majority government of independents. Well, if we all say we're not beholden to Her Majesty, we're beholden to our representatives and constituents that we have, that's
mhm,
where it should be at. That's where it should be. And when I talk to people and I talk to them about my platform or my proposals and how my system would work, they're like, well, isn't that how it's supposed to be? That sounds great, right? But it's not what's happening. And I
mhm.
think everybody is too, it's been just red or blue for so long that people just think that this is the way to go. And that's the way it has gone. And I think that we're in a time right now where we need what could be considered a radical change to make a change. And
Yeah, I think, like, let's say you got elected and independents got a majority government. I think they would still have to swear an oath, but once in office, you could probably have a referendum
yeah,
and do it, on paper to separate from the Commonwealth. Doesn't mean we don't have to be friends with the UK, but we certainly, if we want to have a king or a queen, they should be Canadian.
I think we're at a time and space now in history that we are well able to manage ourselves as our own entity, and
Yeah.
I'm not specifically savvy on all things, but reading some of the proclamation of 82 before the Queen had died and something to the aspect of giving everything back to the citizens of Canada seems
Mhm.
to be what I got from it. Now, again, I may be off on that. Again, I'm not a politician. I don't delve into all these things. I'm just
Mhm.
someone who's passionate about wanting change and how I see the common sense of things, how that should be. And
Mhm.
I think if we all come together, I've spoken to people from other, who support blue and red, and everybody's affected by this stuff. And I say to some other red people, like, how could you want to still support the red side when in the last 9 years, what you're telling me, and this isn't me, this is them telling me, I'm sick of the scandals that have been going on, scandal after scandal, and carbon tax, and it's putting us into poverty, but they're still going to go vote red because they just can't stand blue.
Yeah,
And
it's like they're mentally locked
it's
in.
locked. And then you got, I'll give this chance to the blue side, where the blue is just like, oh, this is how I feel, and I
Yep.
can't vote any other way. It's becoming a little bit of insanity, I guess. And
Well, I believe that the left and right wing of the same bird, and the bird itself is the NDP, which would be an absolute nightmare. Since they
yep,
passed like totalitarian laws in British Columbia, we know
yep,
exactly what their intention is.
yep,
And Jack Mead you know, shouldn't even be able to be a leader, from what I've heard about, his links to terrorist groups and that sort of thing. So how he's and yeah, the scandals too. How is that not dealt with? We obviously have a captured system and a
yes,
corrupt system.
yes,
Um, they're able to use AI and find out how many voters, calculate how many voters they have, and then they could use mail-in ballots to make up the difference to ensure a win. So they can cheat. And even Maxime said that, he's concerned with the mail-in ballots and how they can be used. And another thing I heard was that they found like 200,000 votes a year after the election last time, and it would have changed the outcome. So they
yep,
were held back. So, we have a big problem. I think independence is one way uh, to um, to give power back to the people,
yep,
because you will be representing your constituents, not a party. And that I think people really need to think about that and consider that as the best, one of the best alternatives. And we have the Libertarians also, and the People's Party. There's only like three parties that actually have our best interest in mind.
yeah,
That's just my opinion, but from my research, that seems to be the case. All the other parties just say what you want to hear. Like in Parliament, someone asks a question, they'll deflect and talk about, all the good things they've done and never really address the question itself. It's very childish and it's hard
yes.
to watch.
I can't stand watching the question period anymore because it's not question period, it's comment period. Nobody's answering
Mhm.
any questions ever. It's
Nope.
always like you say, it's a deflection. It's like watching some kids in high school argue. Nobody wants to take any responsibility,
Mhm.
accountability. And, you know, as far as that goes, I think are those who are supposed to hold our elected officials accountable for their actions. That's corrupt as well. There's no accountability. There's no
Mhm.
transparency.
None.
It is hijacked, and it
Yep.
has to change. And it just baffles me and other people to be like. I think that's why so many people are just fed up. Like it doesn't matter. It's just system is so corrupt and taken over that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're going to do what they want, and that's all. And the only people that are out there screaming and yelling is the minority that is divided into five parties.
Yeah, if all the
When
people that go ahead.
yeah, the majority of people just aren't voting. I just got to look at my area. And that's what I'm trying to connect to people with is that, you know, voting for an independent in me right now is not going to change who's going to become the next prime minister, blue or red. But what it will
Mhm.
do is give us a seat at the table.
Yes.
That's what it's going to do right now.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm asking for the constituents of my riding to do is to stand up and be the majority that they are and come out and vote for an independent, and let the minority, 48%, get swallowed up, by the 30,000, conservatives, or the, 16,000 liberals, and the others. They're a minority, and we're allowing for
Mhm.
the minority to take over and be beholden over the majority. We have to we have to see that now. And that's what I'm trying to get out to people. You are the independents. The 52%, you are the independents. So here is an opportunity for us through my platform to represent ourselves as independents. And if
Mhm.
when I look at my website and I compare it to all the other parties, there's nothing on there. They're not talking about anything. The Liberals got vote, be a volunteer, support. Where's your platform? Where is everything you're talking about? When I did the debates these last two times on Rogers and just recently in Hawkesbury, it's like I had people come up to me and say, "Wow, thanks for just talking. It sounded like you were talking from the heart." Meanwhile, the other two are, the other green guy, I really like him. He's got some great ideas.
Mhm.
And the liberal representative, nice lady, but she read everything from a book. Everything is coming out of the book. And I just sat beside them at the other debate, and it's just a book. Pull the book out, read the notes, read what it says. Do you know what you're having to say? Do you know what you're talking about? Have you really got out to the people? Or have you met with the Liberal Party, who's got a strategy to say these words and ingrain it into people? And then that's what it will be, right? Is it coming
Yep.
from the heart? Is it coming from what it is? And that's what I'm trying to connect to people. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not reading a script. I didn't bring any notes with me. I didn't bring any papers. I had a couple of things for a couple of bullet points that I heard other people talking about, and I'll make a reference to that. But everything I'm talking about is coming from what I'm living, what I'm experiencing, and the ideas that I've had for the last, 10 years of wanting to do this. Going back to school to be educated in law, so I could get into politics, and here I am,
Yeah.
stepping up and making
Well,
it happen. So.
well, if you need some paper, I have some paper here. I can understand and I can relate why people don't vote because those are the people that know it's rigged, but they are the majority.
Yep.
If they all just said, okay, we have to do something, and I hope this happens, this election, and the right people get in, um, people have lost faith for a darn good reason. Because if they are paying attention, they can see what the NDP has done in British Columbia, and that represents the whole thing. The whole NDP people. Their platform is just a bunch of baloney, and the Liberals is all baloney. But they've been playing tennis with the Liberals and the Conservatives back and forth for so long, and even in Parliament, they when they attack each other, they're actually saying, you did that. They're basically showing everyone the sins of the other party, and they
Hmm.
both do it. So even though we're hearing you did this and you did that and SNL Lavalin, and it still doesn't stop it from happening.
No,
That's
it
why
doesn't.
and that's why people aren't voting, because they think, why isn't anybody in jail?
Yep.
How is Justin Trudeau not in jail? How can a criminal openly committing crimes be allowed to be in parliament? I mean, is there no integrity at all? So I understand that. I just
Yep.
hope people will understand that we have no more time left. 2030, you'll own nothing and be happy. There
Yep.
is no time left. Those 52% have to say, okay. They have to realize that all these mainstream parties supported by the media are all bad. They're all Thelma and Louise. They just offer a different car, but they're
Yep.
still heading to the cliff. It's the
Yep.
independents and the libertarians. They're the only ones that will turn the steering wheel so you don't go over the cliff. And that's how I feel like about our situation in Canada. I feel like Canada has fallen. We just don't. A lot of people just don't realize it, and the immigration is a part of it. If you look at Europe, they're going after white Christians, and um, the Committee of 300 wrote a paper in 1991 about wiping out white Christians in North America. And that was their target first. And
Mhm.
Europe. And so we're in a dire situation with people that are unelected that are
Yes.
making deciding on who gets to live and who doesn't get to live.
Yep.
And would an
It's really
independent
hard. I joined a couple of TikToks live and try to talk to people about stuff. And
Mhm.
I actually had to get off at one point because it really made me sick feeling how much this, I don't even know what word to use, but it's like, and it's not to pick on all liberals, but I was just talking about some stuff and it brought up the things like, okay, do you think it's okay that Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, and many others are part of the young global leaders of the World Economic Forum, that Chrystia Freeland is on the board of directors of the World Economic Forum? And if you look at what the World Economic Forum, you know, policy is a kind of one world governance, and this is they have their own ideas, right? Well, I don't think our elected officials should be allowed to be part of an international organization that has a mandate to be a certain way when you're
Mhm.
ruling another country and you're making decisions for the people of that country. It means you're not representing the people of your country. You're putting into play the ideology that you have because you're high power in another international organization. You shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be allowed, right? We have to have standards and we have to have some accountability, and that's just not there. And so these people were just like, oh, coming at me like I was just off the wall. Like I'm not speaking crazy. It's not I'm making something up. It's a fact that our members, Klaus Schwab has openly admitted it and said he had, more than half the Liberal cabinet. And you go on the website, you see it, like, I mean, people are accusations on the blue side as well. People are representative of this, how corrupt it is. You got Michelle Lanceman apparently, invested into Brookfield,
Mhm.
Mark
Yep.
Carney's thing. It's like everybody's all over the place. Everybody's part of something. And that's the problem. There's no accountability and there's no transparency. And I think sometimes what I said in the past, by the time you get into politics to become a member of parliament at that level, you must be bought and paid for.
Mhm.
And I'm just a person that you can look me up on Google and you can follow my lineage of what I did. And all you're going to see is former professional, mixed martial art fighter, world champion, and where I came
Mhm.
from and what I did. You're not going to find me with my hands dipped in cookie jars everywhere. I'm not bought and paid for. I am here and I am real, and you can trace me to where I am. So I'm not bought and paid for. I got
Yep.
no money on my campaign. I've been putting money out of my own pocket to go buy some signs and put them up, knocking on doors and doing what I'm doing because I'm real and I'm here. And I am just like all you other 52 percenters out there. I want to change. And so again,
Mhm.
that's what I want people to do. Visit jasonstlouis.ca. You can see my proposals. It's long, it's lengthy, and it's open for discussion. And I want to know more from people. I want the people to talk and send me messages and say, hey, what about this? This is what affects me. What can we do about this? And I'm going to be sure that, I'm coming to the table, I'm putting it forth. Now, that can bring us to how did these things happen? Well, I got connected talking to other people online. I sent people online. I had all these ideas, and I'm like, I just don't know how to make it happen. I want direct democracy. I want to connect to people. How do they vote, and how can they be sure that their votes count? I got me connected to a group of people, and I am part of an association, and we created the Independent Candidates Association of Canada. It is not a party, but it is an association that supports other independents who want to be on the right path. So we give them support and information and we connect them to other independents. And
Mhm.
we agree to have a mandate that we will promise to support our constituents above
Yeah.
all else. And if we do not, support our constituents above all else. We cannot be part of this association. So it's almost like a place that people can go and you can get accredited, so to speak.
Well,
I'm
I think the
accredited
valuable,
with this association to show that I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. I'm not going to be
yeah.
bought and paid for. And
Well, that's where the fascism comes in because these corporations get lawyers and they write bills, and then they, financially support the candidate that will support them and propose the bill. And so there's money involved in,
yep,
so that's how the politicians make so much money
yep,
through betrayal. A lot of our foods have, poison in them, yet the same companies, don't put the poison in countries where they're banned because they're poison.
yep,
I'm not sure if it's Europe or whatever, but you see the same product, but the ingredients are different.
yep,
So somehow, for some reason, someone just wanted to poison Canadians, and especially the children in the cereals. They find poison in there. It's really disturbing because a lot of what's happened are not natural. These aren't decisions someone like you would make to
no,
allow, someone offered you $100,000 cash if you put poison in ketchup. You would say no, right?
absolutely.
But the problem is we don't have uh, people in government that are saying no.
No,
Not only should they say no, they should, represent their constituents by telling everyone what happened.
yep. It's kind of like I told my
Telling,
kids, right? I'm like, okay, you're
yeah,
eating these foods, you guys. It's full of these chemicals, right? That are toxic
mhm,
to our body. They're harmful. I said, is it okay for us to go into the kitchen sink and I got little leftover bottles of Jabex bleach, Pine Sol cleaner. Okay, let's make a little beverage. Add some juice to it, which is natural, and let's mix it up and let's have a Kool-Aid stand. Can I
mhm,
sell a product that contains little bits of poison to the public? Absolutely not. I would be charged. I would be
yeah,
charged with something, right? But yet these companies can put products and ingredients that cause harm, and it's
yeah,
okay. And it's not okay. It's really not
mhm,
okay. So, but you know what it is? The system for a very long time has been devised like this. And this is where you get into things, people talking conspiracy theories. I'm sorry, but when you study history and you understand the Prussian system and how they developed wanting to have everybody learn the same information so the society would be an intelligent race society that all would follow the line. You understand the Carnegie Foundation creating the education and medical systems for the longevity so that everything would be designed and in line. And it's like I tell my kids, look at me as an adult. I get up in the morning, I eat breakfast, I go to work, I have a break, I go back to work, I have lunch, I have a break, I go back to work, I finish work, I go home, I do my thing. What do you kids do in school? You get up in the morning, you go to class, you have a break, you go to school, you have lunch, you have a break. It's the same system. We are set up to be repetitive and part of the system that is working for, well, you want to call them the globalists, you want to call them the elitists, you want to call them those who have power. It is set up that way. And
I
it's
call
not a
them the Rothschilds.
conspiracy. It's just the way that society has been set up for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
And it's time that we break away from that. And we're
yeah,
intelligent enough now. And we have enough connection, thankfully, of the internet at the moment before it is completely taken away from us for people to connect to one another so they can speak to one another at a mass scale. But until
mhm,
it's like that meme you see when all the oligarchs are around the table playing the board game and everybody's underneath it. The game is over when we stand up and we take it back. And we have the rules and we have laws in place for us to do that. We just
mhm.
have to invoke them. And I think the starting point for that is, for me, vote independent. Let's put somebody in the hot seat for the real time and let's see what happens.
Mhm. Now I get in trouble on YouTube for this, but I'm still gonna say it. We're live on YouTube, so they may just shut down and panic and flip switches and
Yep.
but I think that was more the COVID era. But I lost a few children because of after they were vaccinated, and the mother was pregnant and they vaccinated her. I can't remember what if Zika or some other scare tactic they used. But after that, I researched the ingredients of all of them, and I know darn well that it would be obscene to use an aborted baby and inject that into a newborn child. And that's what they're doing. There's like DNA in there, but also like all the ingredients, the mercury, the aluminum, all these things are toxic to the body. So there's no benefit to me with any of the ingredients. Would an independent party remove the funding, stop the government for paying for these things? If people want to do them, you don't have to ban them, but if people want to do, inject their child with these things, it shouldn't be on a school schedule. They shouldn't be threatened and coerced,
Yep.
and they should pay for it themselves. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And
What I
apparently,
think about all of that is that, and we saw it with the coverage. Okay. You have these other professionals, the guys who helped develop the mRNA vaccine, who were speaking out about how it was used for. I think we were given a one-sided version, and we didn't
yes,
allow for the other scientists who were coming in and saying, well, what about this? Right? We
yeah,
were made to listen to one narrative. And when the
yeah,
other side wanted to come out and say, hey, wait a minute, it was shut down. It was conspiracy theory. It was misinformation and disinformation. That should be a
terrible.
red flag right there, people. When your government is stopping the other scientists and doctors and professionals to come out and want to be able to share a different version of it, that's a red flag. And
Well,
so
I
I would
believe,
say that I would want to support people making their own choices. I
yeah,
think that these pharmaceutical companies shouldn't have a carte blanche to not be sued or anything, because that's what's
yep,
happened. They can't be held responsible. They can't be held accountable. And
yep,
another red flag is when Pfizer tried to hide the results of the tests for 70 years. Excuse
yep,
me, you're still selling your product. You're still on football's, Super Bowl. Your advertisements are there.
yep.
If the majority of the people knew this truth, they might question it. And
Yeah,
that's a
they also,
problem, is people didn't get to hear it. They didn't get to know because they're stuck watching the CBC News and CTV
mhm,
and all these news outlets, the CNNs and all the one-sided news outlets that tell you it's only this way. And
mhm,
now that it's all come out and after the fact, our government lied to us. They knew very well that taking the COVID shot was not going to prevent you from getting it, and it was not going to prevent you from giving it away to somebody else. It didn't do that. It did
mhm.
not do that. And
Well,
they knew it. And that's a perpetrated lie on the Canadian people. And they should have been made aware of it, and they should have been able to have a choice if they wanted to take it for their own belief in that
yeah.
medical system.
Would you vote to hold all these people accountable? The medical officers, all the people that lied, the newspapers, the radio, they all lied everywhere.
Yep, they did. And I would
I,
absolutely want to see some accountability happen with that. Absolutely.
good,
There needs to be
good.
accountability, because without accountability, we're just going down the hole further and
Yep,
further and further. And
that's good.
this is where it needs to stop. I know people who were vaccinated who came to me after and said, I watched you walk around with no mask. I criticized you because you didn't get, vaccinated, and we got it. And now I have health issues. It's like, it's not made up. I'm not making it up. I'm not the first person to say this.
Yep.
And they were upset about it because they didn't want to believe this other side of things, whether they were catching a glimpse of Joe Rogan having, those doctors on who were part of the mRNA, or this doctor or that doctor. They heard about it, but they were told it was a lie. It was a perpetrated lie. And now when it's all come out and the dust is settling, they're like, wow, I can't believe I fell for it. I'm so angry. I'm
Well, they
so
use
angry because,
manipulative
yep,
terminology like misinformation, which
yep,
is the truth, uncomfortable truth.
yeah,
So it is the truth.
yep.
It's just the government doesn't like it, so they call it misinformation. And
Yep.
notice how they repeat it.
Yep.
Trudeau repeats it all the time: misinformation,
Yep.
disinformation,
Yep.
and it's all manipulation. It's either true or not true.
Yep. And
And
without education and the proper information, with open dialogue, and not these 60-minute clips from a news agency, but long form content, that's where
right,
you're
right.
getting to the meat and potatoes of things. And
Well, having looked at the Pfizer documents, it was pretty startling, and I know why they wanted to hide it, because of the biblical implications. Because they use the light of a beast, a mark. It can be scanned, the light of the firefly. So they've got the mark of the beast, and they call it the light Lucifer rays. So you have the name. The name, it fulfilled the Bible basically, of being able to be scanned, so they can bring in totalitarian laws where you have to have it, and so it can be scanned to confirm that you've got the mark of
yeah,
the beast being a very harmless little firefly, but still a beast.
yep,
And also in a light bearer is called Lucifer, and um, the firefly is certainly a light bearer, where we can see, like, it's the only beast that we see the light. We don't see it in ourselves, but we have a light too.
hmm,
So it would definitely be classified. It fulfills all the name, the number of the beast,
yep,
all of it is fulfilled, and that's why they wanted to hide it for 75 years,
yep,
uh, because that would be post event. It would be after, anyways.
yep,
But they have given
absolutely.
us numbers. 2030 is their. That's it. You own nothing. Be happy. So they let us know that they want to, they're going to bring another, someone's going to sneeze and they're going to lock everything down again. And the only way to unlock yourself is to make sure you get this light inside of you
Yep,
that scanned, and then you have the mark of the beast. So it's horrible what happened to us. We are post event. A lot of the information is coming out,
yep,
even though it's way too late for all the people who had faith in the system. But I would love to see independents getting in and doing the right thing. I mean, it will be dangerous because you're not dealing with normal people here.
yep,
You're dealing with compromised people that maybe could be under threat too.
yep,
It's
absolutely.
interesting.
Right. If you really think about it, when you get to a certain level, I think of leadership in the world, it is no longer about money. It is about power, and
Yeah.
power is incredible. And when you look at some of the people who are still in power through the family lineage, like, the Rothschilds or Rockefellers, or, any of these big, powerful families that have been around a very long time, they've been around a very long time. And there's a reason, because they've been around for a long time. They know how the system works. We know that, all the media stations are really owned by just a handful of them.
Hmm.
It's like that with all this stuff. Everybody's all being bought up and bought up and bought up.
Yeah.
And
Well, it is
it's,
the Rothschilds. They own an island in Antarctica where none of us can go. So how is that possible? They funded both sides of every war. They created
yep,
the false flag. They used Mossad. They bought Israel. They used the name Israel to hide under Judaism, but they're Zionists. They're not. They're actually anti-Jew. They are anti-Semitic too, but they project like the liberals.
it
They
is
use
so far
projection.
reaching that for a lot of people, they cannot comprehend it.
Yep.
The ears go on, no, no, that's far fetched. All right, nothing would like that happen. We're not living in that world. And so I think sometimes then it's got to be scaled back. Those of us who have been awakened can travel the path to learn more, and other
Yeah.
people can, they have to experience it in their own time, in their own reality.
Right.
And that's the best we can do, is to be supportive of both sides. And
Mm.
when I scale it back again to where I am now, I can't
Hmm.
go and try to convince other people of my beliefs and all this stuff. But what I can do is say to you, what I can promise you is, in this atmosphere, in this timeline, I will represent you as I want to be represented. And if we can start from the foundation here, we can make it grow and solidify. And if we could do that across the province and across the country with more and more independence, gaining ground and support, then that is what it is. It's almost like the convoy I used for an example, as far as the unity that it brought. I don't want to talk about its message and if it got hijacked or whatever. What it did is it brought a unity of people to the table across our country and across the world, that we were all ready to be part of something and want to make a movement. And that was there. It was so good and great. And then they shut it down by infringing on our rights and freedoms, and horse and carriage, and running people over and beating people up. I was there. I saw it. And they infringed on our rights. And we know that that's what it was in the end. And so has it scared people to want to come together like that again? Yes, I believe it has. Try to do a 2.0 convoy back downtown in Ottawa again and see if you get the same kind of response with people showing up. I don't know if it'll happen because people are afraid to get run over and trampled and beat, and they're afraid of it. And we can't be afraid. We cannot live in fear anymore. We have to do something. And if we're not going to show up in one place, then let's all show up to the ballot as individuals to create a unity that cannot be stopped and trampled on and police seized. We can show up to the ballot and we can make a difference there. So that's my message to the 52% of my people.
I do believe they use technology to brainwash people, and it's very effective. They have been doing it. Somehow you and I haven't succumbed to the brainwashing. And I am trying to bring out the truth, but I'm trying to be gentle and, incrementally bring out, because it is very deep. It's a lot to handle.
It is.
But I mean, if you want the truth, this is where to go. This is a place to go.
Yep.
There are a few of us out there, on a regular basis, trying to bring out the truth. I mean, I've talked about, religious, different ideologies, and trying to explain how they work together and why they're against each other, and just to try to make sense of it all, because not everyone has time to read the Quran and the Gita and the Bible. But this podcast is about information, and they need to know about you. They need to know you're on the ballot and what you represent. You actually represent a change, and you would empower the people in your writing by listening to them and voting, because every writing is different.
Yeah.
You may have a different situation than another writing. So you may vote differently on something because it benefits your writing, as opposed to another writing that
Exactly.
might not.
And that's what we're looking at in the political parties, is that they're all, it's one party, and they're all bound by a certain group of things. And so,
would you get rid of one size fits all in medicine, education, and these things? Because I don't think it's effective. I think it's terrible. If a young child was brilliant and could go to 3 grades in 1 year, they should be able to do that without being emasculated, for being, what I mean? Or if someone is unable, they shouldn't be pushed through, because a lot of our geniuses, inventors, were terrible in school.
Yep.
They shouldn't be punished for
they're
being
eccentric, they're autistic, they have their own special qualities. And I look at both my oldest kids, high school, and they're like, "Man, Dad, I got to do a friggin' thing on Shakespeare," and I'm like, "Okay," they're like, "This is so boring. Why do I need to know about Shakespeare?" And I'm like, "Okay, I understand that. And if you don't want to do the report, I will support you on that. Let's contact the school," which I have. And I'm like, "Okay, my son or daughter doesn't want to do a report on Shakespeare. How about they choose something that is more relevant to today's age, that's going to be, proven to support them in their ongoing education and how the world is going to affect them now." I think, again, it's designed that way to keep it dumbed down. Let's
Yeah.
give these kids what they need to be able to open their minds to what the world they're coming into. Because for me, growing up in the 80s and the 90s, it's like the new technology was a Walkman and you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
it's like the technology was what it was there.
Mhm.
These kids now, my kids growing up, the technology is so far advanced that what is life going to be like for them coming forward? There's so many
Mhm.
jobs that are going to be taken over by automation, AI, robots, that their ideas cannot be the same. Yet they're learning the same things in school that I learned, doing the same Shakespeare review, doing the same this, the same that. Where is the difference? They're not educating our children based on the new age and what those kids are going to come up into. And that's why 2030s, you're going to own nothing and you're going to be happy because you're going to be on a
Yeah.
basic social income. You're going to live in your 15-minute city and you're not going to
Yep.
need to do anything. And that's why they talked about that world population being depleted by a certain amount. It's because there's
Yeah.
not going to be enough jobs for everybody. There's not going to be enough excitement for people to become this, that, or the other because they're not
Yeah.
making it available to our youth. It's almost
If
like, should we? And it is, a funny thing I talked about with my kids. I'm like, would it be cool if we decided that we would not progress past a certain technological advancement and we'll just stay there so that everybody can enjoy growing up to want to be a carpenter, an electrician, an athlete, an artist. It's like you have these aspirations you can grow into and you can enjoy doing it and you make a living at it and then you get to retire happily and live your life. We're getting past that now.
Yeah.
The ceiling has exploded, and
Yeah.
we have to give that explosion room to our youth so they can have something to achieve in life. And I look at things like, Dr. Morial back in I think it was early 1916s, I think. He's given a vision to go on a quest and find these emerald tablets, the emerald tablets of Thoth, which have been
Oh, yeah.
transcribed. And
Yeah.
they are like they defeat all laws of ionization, and
Yep.
it's an amazing story, and it's talking about something different for humanity. We are something more, and we are being held back of what that
Uh-huh.
is. And there's
Yes.
dogma attached to it. And if we
Yeah.
were be able to open that up, people would be realizing whether it's whatever God you want to believe in, we are something special. We are here talking right now like
For
this.
sure.
This is not by
Yep.
chance. And people need to connect to that again. We need to have a connection to spirit and self to know that we are worth more.
Yeah.
And that would raise our consciousness up, if you want to call it the Christ consciousness or whatever you'd like, but to raise a consciousness of who we are. And I think that would be an important aspect for people to be able to harness within themselves, give them that, you know.
Um, I I can't believe you said emerald tablets because that's like the lost years of Jesus. That because in the Bible it goes from I don't know 12 or 14 years old to 30, but
Yes.
he did study thought, and so that's very cool. Not a lot of
Yeah,
people know
well,
about
if you
him.
connect what that is, right? Jesus says he's gone, he went to the school of mysteries in Egypt. Well,
Yeah,
if you
yep,
read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, Thoth talks about how he built the pyramids. His father was
yep,
Thoth, and Thoth became the educator. He built the pyramids. And
yeah,
if you look at previous to that, you have the Lost Book of Enki. Nengizida says he built the pyramids. Nengazita
mhm,
is Thoth, is Hermes Thrice-Megestus, is Quetzalcoatl, is potentially Jesus Christ. As he comes
yeah,
back and he gets educated back into the school of mysteries to want to go out
right,
into the world and educate people and let them know that they are more. They are connected to a higher power. You can
yep,
connect all of the dots to one another, right? And one of the things I look at, which is interesting, is like, if you look at science today, it tells us that our chromosomes, we have DNA that's fused. Well, if God
mhm,
created us in his likeness and his image in perfect balance, why are we the only species plant of anything that has its genetic DNA fused? So then if you look at going back to ancient texts like the Sumerian tablets of text, it says in there, the Sumerians created mankind in their likeness and in their image, and they were genetically modified to be from a bipedal hominoid on the planet Earth to be a working fashioned man. And that's how the human race was created. And even those who created them were worried that the great creator of God would be upset at what they did. You can connect all of these things, but it's not taught to us. It's not even an option to give people a different perspective. They have attached the dogma of it's this way and that's it. And again,
Yeah.
the more we are connected and we can learn about our history, the more we may open up and be able to receive that beautiful message from our God, our creator, as to who and why and what we are here for. What is our purpose? So we could go on, I'm sure, with some beautiful talk on this stuff. It's amazing,
Oh,
but
yeah.
man,
It's my favorite topic. It's my favorite topic.
yeah,
It really is. Finding about creation,
yeah,
getting much information as possible.
yeah,
And I found the more I learn, the more it all makes sense.
yeah,
But I do feel like a heavy heart that mankind has been deceived.
yes,
And that breaks my heart, really, because I
yeah,
think that's one thing the truth belongs, when it comes to our creator and creation. And that's not something to lie about. That's like almost that's unforgivable to me.
yeah, yeah. We have a right
But
to know what our true history is. And like it says in the Emerald Tablets, in the preface, 2 of the tablets are not being released to the public because they're too far reaching for mankind at this time. Who are
right.
they to decide that we and this information is too far reaching for us?
Yeah, I want to
Who,
see it.
who are they? I want to see it. I want to know because in there, talks about the prayer that he uses when he goes into the pyramid, and he goes into the pyramid and he relieves himself from his physical body so he can go into, you know, the other verse that he can come back at a later time and retake form in the human species so that he can come
Yep.
back at a later time. And he says he will come back and his teachings better have been given to the world. And if they have been suppressed, he will make sure that, punishment is given. So, there's lots of great stories. It really is. And you look at the new stuff that they're talking about, the pyramids now, where they have those giant cylinders that are going down, and it looks
Yep.
like it was made to create energy. Well,
It was,
Tesla
yeah.
talked about that. Tesla used the aquifers below his town and a system to set up to create wireless energy. And it
Right.
was taken over by Marconi, and they all made him look like a liar and stole his technology. Why?
Yep. It's terrible what happened
People
throughout
don't
history.
know this history. And if they
Yeah.
did, they might have a different perspective. Like, oh, wait a minute. We could have free energy right now? Like,
I've seen sound waves that can lift heavy objects.
Yes, they've got it. Yep.
So
Yep.
I've seen that radium was demonized because they could use radium to heat homes and power
Yep.
homes.
Yep.
And they had little stoves, and it says radium on it,
Yep.
and they never have to touch it, like forever.
Yep.
It's like an endless supply of free
Yep. Absolutely.
heat.
I'm hoping this new discovery with Egypt will help change the perception of things. Like, okay, there really wasn't a bunch of men carrying blocks building this thing. This is way
Nope.
beyond our abilities as mankind,
No.
stone feather day and
Yep.
age, right? That coupled with Göbekli Tepe and all these other ancient places that were told to us dogmatically that mankind's only been here for this long, when now we have the science to back up the proof that things are way older than they were told to us to be. We have to stop the dogmatic rule, and we have to open the books to everyone.
Well,
And
we
that's
need
only
to
going to happen if we can stop the global elitists from
Yep.
keeping their thumb on us. And we got to rise up as people in our hearts and in our minds and in life and everything that we do.
And we have to be realistic, because even if we save Canada, I hope to God we do, we will become by default enemy of all the other NATO countries.
Yeah.
By default, we will become the Gaddafi, the Libya, the Syria. Anyone who doesn't go along with these people, just the media is very effective.
Yep,
at,
it is.
I mean, they got them booing at hockey games to the American anthem.
Yep.
That's not Canadian. We don't do that. That's not us.
No, no,
So
it's not. It's not good. Yep.
we desperately need to take our country back. But um, it is a golden age. The truth is flooding out, and I'm happy to be a part of that. I think it's
Yeah.
I'm humbled to be able to do that and
Yeah.
to be a part of
Absolutely.
it.
We know a little story. When I was a little boy, I was in grade 2. My grandmother passed away,
Hmm.
and I was very close to her, very, very close. And I remember um, in my room, I used to get up thinking someone was watching me, and I would get angry at first, like, why, but then I would end up having these dreams where I was outside myself as a young boy, looking down from like space at Earth, being told that one day I would be a warrior fighting to defend people. And growing up, doing martial arts all my life, I was always defending people. I've been suspended from schools for always fighting, but I was always defending someone that the teachers never saw the whole story. I went to high school. I went to 5 different high schools. Got kicked out of every one for fighting because I was sticking up for somebody who was getting bullied. I was
Right.
always defending people. It brought me to a little bit later on. I became a professional athlete, started doing mixed martial arts and fought mixed martial arts. I made a career of it, fighting,
But
but
that's
fighting for the right reason and the good things.
yeah.
And then I would help other youth, talk to them about, find something that you're passionate about. Don't be succumbed by drugs and alcohol and crime. I had those experiences, and I got myself out, and I made it a point to make a difference and make a change. And now where I am today, wanting to represent people and fight for people who don't have a voice. It's like that dream as a child. Was it a dream or was it a vision that I had a little glimpse into my future, what my purpose might be? Now, I'm not a perfect person. I come with my own faults to this day, my relationships with my lady or my kids, my finances and everything. Yeah, I have troubles, but deep in my heart, I'm a good person, and I'm trying to do things for the right reason. And that's got to count for something. And so that's
Mhm.
the other part of the reason why I want to be part of this at this time in space where we are in this existence right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, this is the time, and the people of Prescott, Russell, Cumberland, if you know, and anybody watching, if you know anyone in that district and in that riding, share this video with them so they can get to know their candidate, and because we are in like a fifth generational war, as far as I'm
Mhm.
concerned. I mean, I've analyzed rainwater, so I know what they're spraying us with, and it just reads like a prescription. It reads like a vaccine almost. Um, so we need our brave people with good hearts that would never get into politics. But
Yep.
you have to put your faith and you have to uh, vote. This vote is so important right now.
Yep.
To and even if we get one independent in,
Yep.
you at least have a voice that can be heard, and you can be represented in your own riding. So you can turn down something and protect your riding
Yep.
just from the bullies.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. So I'm here to fight for my people. It's
Yeah.
a different type of fight now, but
Hmm.
that's what I'm here for.
Well, I thank you for coming on. I can't even believe it. It's been like an hour
I know.
because we got so we have great conversations when we talk. I think you've been on before, but
Yeah.
you were on with a couple of other people, so I have you all to myself this time.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Uh, I want to thank you for coming on. It's jasonstlouis.ca. It's easy to find online.
Yep.
Find Jason. Read all the information. Tells you why vote for an independent, because diverse representation, breaking the status quo, and this is an opportunity. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, and change what's been happening to this apathy that's been bred into Canadians to just say, okay, I don't trust. And that just helps the liberals by not voting. It helps the conservatives to keep this game going because they control the media, they control the polls. And you have to explain to everyone you know that these things aren't real. They're lying to us. None of them have made life better for us. We need heroes, and Jason is one of them. So thank you, Jason, for coming on. Thank you, everyone at home, for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night, episode 76. Have a great night. Thank you, Jason. Any final words before we go?
Just want to say thanks again to everybody. Just do everything, do it out of love. Good, bad, or indifferent. If we go at it with love and a good intention, we're going to raise our vibrations, and that's how we're going to make a difference. So thank you for supporting everything that you do, and thanks for having me. I'll see you again.
Thank you, Jason. And you're not going to say elbows up. Thank you, Jason. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank
Good
you.
night. And I'm a little buck still. Look at that. Wow, that's crazy. So thank you all for joining us. If you know anyone in these districts, just please share this video, and so your neighbors and friends will be informed on who's the person behind the name. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Is give you an opportunity to get to know the people and get to know the good people that could save this country. And it's time to save this country. Thank you for joining me on the Truth Table. I'm Paul Everton. See you tomorrow night.